Alright guys, today we are going over why you don't have cannonball delts and why I don't have them either. Let's start. So what do you need for round wide shoulders? Well, you need the front delt. Hey, stop the bus. Front delts? Oh, but that's overdeveloped for everybody, right? At least that's what every gym Joe usually says. Sorry about the Joes. But the conversation goes like this. Someone is doing a front delt exercise. Average Joe goes there, hits the dumbbell out of his hand and asks him, "Oh, what are you doing?" Nothing, I'm just doing a shoulder press to train my delts. But don't you know that everybody's front delts are overdeveloped? Well, Joe, why the fuck I don't see them? Where are they? I don't see them. So let me paint the premise for you. If you do any chest exercise, there is going to be enough for your front delts. And this is true if you are a beginner, because a beginner can grow multiple muscles at once just from one exercise. But once you pass that point, let's say you are intermediate or advanced, it is not going to happen. If you do a bench press, there's a chance that your chest is going to get enough stimulus to grow, but your shoulder and triceps won't. It is going to get some stimulus. This is what people call indirect stimulus, when in fact it is still a direct stimulus, it's just not enough to grow. At least not enough to grow those two. It's a bit boring. Fuck, why are you even doing chest press for your delts anyway? It is not going to be enough. So would you say that your front delts are going to be overdeveloped from this exercise, like any chest exercise, if they are not getting enough stimulus to grow? You probably wouldn't. Fuck, actually we will get back to this in a second. But what does an overdeveloped front delt even look like? I rarely see it in the gym, if I see any, but let's look at some examples. For example, Ryan Hamiston. His shoulders are crazy even everywhere, and massive of course. But what if I just pull up an average gym bro? His shoulders are great, but I don't see the overdeveloped front delts. He's going to have some side delts, and people usually say that, yeah, but it is overdeveloped compared to the sides. But if you look at the picture, I literally just got this from Google, I don't see it. I don't see it on myself. I don't see it on most people in the gym. So I kind of feel like this whole generalization is exaggerated and stretched a lot. So does this mean that you skipped overhead pressing for no reason? Maybe, maybe not. There are some genetic freaks who will have massive shoulders from doing bench presses, but they typically have really bad chest, super great triceps, shoulders are phenomenal. But if you're not one of them and you have a decent sized chest, there is a chance that, yeah, you fucked up. For side delts, the famous just spam letter raises. It gives me a goosebump because it doesn't give you any direction. Like, what kind of letter raises? Why? How many? How many sets? How many times? When? Like, it doesn't give you anything, just do it. But that doesn't actually help you. They are smaller muscle groups and recover faster. Now I have a problem with this statement, that's why I put it in quotes, because the delts in general are the largest upper body muscle if we are looking at volume. And this is where people usually say, yeah, but I meant the side delts, but even the side delts, they are not small. Not to mention the size of the muscle doesn't determine how quickly they recover. It depends on exercises, like let's say that if you are training at long muscle length, or let's call it stretch position, even though you are not going to stretch your side delts, but it is going to create way more fatigue, muscle damage, and so on. And if you are using higher reps, that is also going to generate a lot of muscle damage and fatigue. So this is going to stretch out your recovery a lot. And not to mention, if you add on that you are doing multiple sets, like 3 to 4, even 5, that is also going to create a lot of muscle damage. And that is also stretching out your recovery time. See where I'm going? Why this spam letter raises, these are smaller muscles, make no sense? And I get it, this is just a boring biology, but once you get it, it is so much easier to grow them. At least it gives you a clearer direction. But it is still going to be letter raises, is training these muscles, and overhead presses if you are tweaking your form. For example, if you let your elbow come out to the side, and no, it is not going to cause you any shoulder cancer, but from this position, if you go all the way down, shit, did I become a team full range of motion? Maybe. Anyway, if you go all the way down from here, up until 90 degree, they have crazy leverage. So they're going to move this exercise. But once you are reaching this point, this is where your front delts are taking over. So even overhead presses in a full range of motion where your elbows are flared out is going to be excellent for your side delts. Cables, and this is where the constant tension group comes in. Oh, the cables are the best because they provide constant tension. Motherfucker, have you ever looked at the cable? It is coming from one fixed point. Like, even if the cable moves, the pulley is either down or around your hip height or in between, but it is still one fixed point. It is not going to be constant tension. Plus, what's the point of having constant tension? You are not just going to use one exercise, you are probably going to use 1 to 3. So it is fine if you have an exercise where the peak tension is at longer muscle length and one where it's at the short position. It's completely fine. And the rest is just going to be a handoff part where seemingly there is less and less resistance on you. It's completely fine. Rear delts are underdeveloped for everybody. I feel like this is stretching it a lot because if you haven't skipped your upper back training, then there is a chance that they are evenly developed. Like, for example, they have crazy leverages where other back muscles can't do anything. For example, if you are doing a lat rowing where your elbows are coming next to your side, if you don't just stop next to your side but you pull all the way back, at that point it is not going to be your lats, it is going to be your side delts, your rear delts. Or if you are doing a really stretched, let's call it stretched, lengthened rear delt pull from this position, it is only your rear delts that can move the weight and nothing else. Yeah, there is going to be some triceps in there, but you get the point, right? Or if you are doing any upper back exercise where your elbows are going out, it is still going to be a lot of rear delts. But if you need specific targeted work, as I said, you can do the rear delt pull. It is mainly going to be rear delts or rear delt flies with dumbbells, cable, even a machine. And all you have to do if you really want it to make it targeted, that you are pushing your shoulders forward, and this way you can take out your traps and your rhomboid from the exercise. But do you actually have to do that? Probably not. It is still going to be your rear delts. And this is the sad part. You are not going to see any separation if you are still eating like a chubby mess. But how do you get these defined, attractive, sexy shoulders? Let's go over that. Overhead presses are great if you want to train the front and the side delt based on your execution and setup. Lateral raises, whether with a cable around hip height, is going to train your side delts around the lengthened position. I'm not going to call it stretch because, let's be honest, even though it's at the bottom where it's the hardest, it is nowhere near stretched. Even if you are crossing your body, it is not going to be stretched. Or if you put it all the way down, then it is going to be just like a dumbbell lateral raise. So it is going to train your side delts around mid to short position whenever you are coming up to the top. And for rear delts, you can do rear delt pulls or flies, or even just some kind of upper back rowing is going to get the job done. So it is super simple. Get progressively stronger. If you still can't overhead press your body weight, the chances of you having overdeveloped front delts are going to be pretty slim. Not as slim as you need to be in order to see some separation in your shoulders, but it is going to be close to that. And for the lateral raise, if you are still playing with the 5 to 10 kilogram dumbbell, it is going to reflect on that, at least the development, the overall development, what you see on your side delts. And for the rear delts, as I said, they have crazy leverages everywhere, so they typically get a bit stronger than your side delts, at least in nature. So you can use some heavier weights than what you were to use for side delts, and that's going to be absolutely fine. And you're also going to grow like hell. And if you are really in a pinch, change your training program. Start your pushing days with shoulder exercises. Don't worry, your chest is not going to melt away, your triceps is not going to melt away, they are still going to improve, but now your shoulder is in focus. And you can repeat the same thing just on your pull day. You will start your day with any kind of rear delt exercise. And for the leg days, don't put there anything. Seriously. Your legs need more help than your shoulders, so let's just leave them as that. But you can put in an additional shoulder day plus something like an arm, biceps, triceps, forearm calves, since you are skipping calves on your leg days anyway. Because let's be honest, You don't really need 5 to 6 exercises for your shoulder, so one shoulder day is probably not something you need. Change the resistance profile. This is the scientific term to say that where the exercise gets fucking hard. So for example, for the front delts, you can't really change that. It is always going to be around 90 degree. Even if you are doing this front raise, it is still going to be up here, which is the hardest. Yes, with the cable you can change it if it comes from behind, but let's be honest, your front delts like to work together with your upper chest, so whenever you are pulling from here, they have good leverage as well, so you are pretty much competing with these two. And for the side delts, it is really easy to manipulate it because all you have to do is, if you are using a cable, to change where it is. If it's at hip height, it is going to be the bottom, the initiation, where it is the hardest, or let's call it stretched. It's not stretched, but let's call it that. Or if you put it all the way down, it is going to be the mid to short position, so when your arms are getting to the top. And the same goes with the dumbbell. Yeah, you can do this weird bench variation. I tried it just to change the resistance profile to the bottom, but I'm not going to recommend that because there's a chance that you always have cable at your disposal. And for the rear delts, it is also easy. You just have to get the pulley all the way up, and however you face it, you can change the resistance. So if you are facing the cable and you are pulling out to the side, then it is again at the top or at the end range of motion when you are going to have the peak resistance. But if you are facing away from the cable, so let's say that you want to pull it with your right arm, so then the cable is on your left, then it is going to be around here, so the lengthened position, or in this case it is actually a stretch position where it's the hardest. So all you have to do is just face away from it, and this is super effective, super easy. Stick to one rep range. I talked about this in many of my videos, but periodization in hypertrophy doesn't come with any benefits. Like, just think about it. You know that you have to get progressively stronger, but you also have to progressively decrease the weight what you are using just to match the rep range what you are using. So strength is quite specific to the rep range you are using. And this is why I'm going to recommend 5 to 9 rep range, because I'm following the effective rep model and it is working, which is pretty good. But you can do higher reps as long as you hit failure and you are progressing. I'm not going to sit here and say that it is not working, but lower reps typically have more advantage over the higher ones if we are excluding motivation. Now just repeat this for 1 to 5 years and your shoulders are going to be crazy. You are going to be the most attractive person in the gym, or the girls and the guys are going to stare at you and think, oh, I hope he will ask my number. But guess what? Your shoulders are buff as fuck and you look amazing. But your communication skills, well, they didn't improve with them, so you are still going to suck at dating. And this is sad as fuck, and the timing can't be worse than this because the holidays are coming up, but you are not going to see any separation, definition, this deep cut at your side delt if your body fat percentage is higher than around 13%. I'm just going to say this, because it is not like your biceps where you are still going to see this nice separation even around 20% body fat. You have to get lower than that, but it doesn't mean that if you are bulking, you can't improve them, and then once you want to see them, you just have to cut down. That's about it, guys. Drop me a subscribe, like, comment, talk to you in the next one.